Of course, conditions apply. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have a keynote address on the theme, Innovate to Adapt. A theme, Innovate to Adapt, underscores the importance of flexibility in the face of change. We are delighted to have Mr. Panicker, Mr. Prasad K. Panicker, well-known person in KMA, who is the Executive Chairman of Nayara Energy Limited, to share his thoughts on this subject. A little bit about Mr. Panicker is, he has had an illustrious career spanning for over 40 long years. He's a refinery turnaround man who has been instrumental in leading large-scale refineries and ensuring high levels of performance in safety and reliability. Mr. Panicker was the executive director at BPCL and the head of Kochi Refinery. He has also been awarded prestigious accolades like the Chemtech Business Leader of the Year, Dhanam Business Leader. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Prasad Panicker. He's also one of our past presidents. Welcome, Mr. Prasad Panicker.
My very dear colleagues of KMA, my friends, large number of my friends from KMA, the industry leaders, distinguished guests, and also above all, very dear students, a good morning or good afternoon to you all. It is a privilege for me to stand today before you, not as an invited speaker, but as someone who holds this event very close to my heart. Before everything else, I want to express my gratitude to the KMA leadership, especially President Bibu Punuran and Convention Committee Chair Harikumar for giving me this great opportunity. It is a real honor for me to contribute to the conventions of KMA, which always showcased excellence and dedications over many years. Today, as I address you, I am flooded with memories of the time when I was not standing in this podium, but a part of the team working behind the scene. I feel like yesterday that I was in the shoe of the organizers, navigating the challenges, and also enjoying the joy of organizing such a great event, of such a significant event, I would say. Though it is not the topic for today, but I can't resist seeking your permission to narrate my journey with KMA before I go into the assigned topic. I was president of this great organization in the year 15-16. Previous to that, I was vice president with Mr. Rajmohan Nair, with the senior vice president with Premchand during their presidency. And the subsequent teams, starting with Matthew Urumbath, Vivek Krishna Govind, Dinesh Thambi, Jibu Paul, and Madhava Chandran, permitted me to continue in the management committee, which means that I have got a pretty long association with KMA. After that, since I relocated myself from Kochi to Mumbai, I am not continuing in the committees or not invited, but I am keeping a close interest in the activities of KMA. But it gave me great pleasure, a lot of insight into leadership, into professional activities. It taught me invaluable lessons of resilience and the power of collaboration. KMA is such a great organization. You may see that the final 2 days of this event is the significant thing. No, it is actually the journey that bringing us all of here. The journey or the lessons we learned during this journey and the impact that is normally created. Dear organizers, it is your hard work is evident everywhere in this great meeting. You are not creating an event, actually you are creating a legacy. Congratulations to all the KMA team. KMA also deserves another congratulation for aptly selecting a right theme for this year. I know that they would have gone through various number of themes and concluded on the theme of innovate to elevate, the power of transformation. That is nothing but the power of transformation. Innovation can be for disruption or creation. Elevate is the aspiration to go to a higher level, to sustain and grow to a higher level. This is a really aspirational theme that has been selected. And the appropriateness of the theme has been discussed yesterday in detail. The convention chair itself triggered the debate about the lifespan of people versus lifespan of an organization, which he mentioned the lifespan of people while it is going up, the lifespan of organizations are shrinking. It is time for us to look at it. But the theme reminded us that whether it is for personal, organizational, or social sustain or growth, we have to have innovation in place. This is aptly highlighted by yesterday Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar when he said how the social innovations are helping government to create a wider impact in the society. Great theme. While I was discussing with Mr. Harikumar, he asked me two things. One, you have to speak a topic which has got alignment with the convention theme, and also it has got some relevance to the industry that you are working. As has been introduced me, I am in the hydrocarbon industry, the refining, the marketing for more than 40 years. In generally, this industry is called fossil fuel industry. And you know that fossil fuel industry was great for many, many years. Nowadays, the attraction, the view of people about the industry is not good. Because industry, good or bad, this is always connected with the climate change. So you might have listened when Mr. Hari Menon was speaking about cucumbers. There were questions about how can you reduce the carbon footprint. I was also shocked when Mr. Dr. Koshi and team were discussing about fashion. They were even connected fashion with sustainability. Great. So which is the meaning that the sustainability part, the global impact of climate change is a serious issue which is coming up in the public domain, and everybody is aware about the looming dangers of this issue. All of you know that the research-based studies, the science has already proven that greenhouse gases, I'm not going into the details, especially the carbon dioxide or the carbon we call, is the root cause of climate change. And why it is so passionate to a fossil fuel industry is 76% of this entire carbon is from fossil fuel industry. That is the energy that we need when it is converted from fossil fuel. The consequence or the byproduct is always carbon or the carbon dioxide emission. So my topic today is how we will approach. I am sure that this is slightly shift from the first topic of the day on cucumbers, which is impacting our day-to-day life immediately, and also on the fashion, which is are very close to us, especially in a city like Kochi. My topic is little global, and we have to go and find out what are the long-term consequences of this issue. While I am speaking now, you might have read in the newspaper a news item just a couple of days back This is on the 150th anniversary of Indian Meteorological Department. In that meeting, the World Meteorological Secretary General, Ms. Callisto, said 2024 was the hottest year ever. This is not a story. When 2023 was over also, we said last year was the hottest. The last year was the hottest is a story for many, many years now. But 2024 has got a speciality. The first time ever in 2024, the average temperatures crossed 1.5 degree above the pre-industrial era. Why 1.4 degrees is so significant? All of you may know that the entire globe has an aspirational target of limiting this temperature rise below 1.5 to minimize the impact of climate change. We lost it. It is already gone. It has gone above 1.5. But she also very calmly said, need not unnecessarily worry about it. It may be temporary. It may come down, but we all know it is not going to happen. It is going to go up only. So this is a serious issue as far as humanity is concerned. That is what I said, may not be tomorrow, but this is a danger looking on us in the coming years. So my topic, friends, today is actually on the climate change and how we can deal with it. The usual stuff, this has nothing to do with the industry that I am working or a company that I am working, that is called Nayara Energy. The views here are completely personal. Company is not responsible. Mr. Harimenon mentioned, Dr. Koshi mentioned about the major serious event happening in the world now, the Los Angeles fire. Los Angeles fire is not new. It was quite common. But this time, the number of months it is impacting is low. Almost for the last 9 months, there was no rain in the area. This has resulted in more dryness in vegetables and soil, which resulted in vegetables becoming a fuel for the fire to continue. There was a feeling I also had that Los Angeles and California are for rich people, celebrities. No, it is not. There are a large number of people, including Indians. I do have a friend there. He was saying that he has to vacate his house in 2 hours notice with his old mother. They were expecting this direction, but the 2 hours he is given to vacate. You also would have seen day before yesterday's media report where the US ambassador to India, Mr. Eric, was narrating his story. He is also from California, you know that. And he has been asked to displace. His entire family has moved out. And you know that he was the mayor of Los Angeles for long 8 years from 2013. Very sad situation. In a highly developed country like US, if they are not able to continue to control this kind of a disaster, you can very well understand how other countries would be impacted. And also the financial impact, the numbers evolving, is almost $252 billion is the impact estimated so far from this fire. $250 billion is almost 3/4 of the countries in the world. That is almost 150 countries out of 200. Their GDP is less than 250. America will be again great country. They will be able to afford. But that is not the story. When this climate change issue impact all of us later, this is going to be a serious issue. My second or the middle, you may see that this is cyclone Fengal. You know that on 30th of November in India, in Pondicherry, this cyclone has found landfall. we have not taken it seriously because the forecast was not this going to be very severe. But unfortunately, what happened is almost 2.2 lakh hectares of land were impacted. 1.5 crore people was displaced and around 20 people lost their life. This is the second issue. We are unable to forecast accurately the impact of cyclones. Why? Because it is continuously changing. You know that on the models that is developed,
basis the previous history is not the matching with what is likely happening. There is a study which says that in southern peninsula, that is the southern part of India, we are going to have minimum 4 cyclones every year continuously. So impact is in our doorstep. Third is sea level. The large number of studies indicated that sea level is going up very fast. It is likely to go further up by 25 to 30 centimeters in the next 30 years. One study report says 50% of the land area of Mumbai we are going to lose by 2050. The same number for Kochi is 15 to 20%. We are going to lose this land parcel. So those who are sitting in the front, absolutely no worry, 2050, let it loose. But my question to the people sitting at the back, you have to start worrying what is likely to happen in the next 30 years. Having created a not good picture about carbon emission, let us go back and see why it happened and where we stand now. Whenever we are talking about climate change, as I said, it is fossil fuel and carbon dioxide. But this fuel is nothing but the progress of humanity. Fossil fuel, you know, coal, oil and gas, they have given us the progress. If you see the track which I have shown, until 1800 when coal was discovered,
there was no progress. Human development was almost zero. There is stagnant. No innovation, nothing. But once we started consuming energy, whatever be the form, the progress of humanity increased. The population increased. The industrial revolution, you know, from first industrial revolution to the current fourth industrial revolution, the backbone was how much quantity of energy we spent. The technology advancement, the healthcare, and also the agricultural revolution. The biggest discovery the world ever seen is when this oil molecules was converted into fertilizer. So that was able to sustain more and more population. That is why we are rich with almost 8 billion people in the globe now. But there is a consequence. We have to address this consequence, that is the complexity of carbon dioxide. How fast we can mitigate it? But can we depend on the activities that we are taking? The sustainability in fashion, to sustainability in e-commerce, the sustainability the government is speaking, the sustainability we all are supposed to do. Is it adequate enough to protect us from these consequences is something which we have to see. Going back to the coal, it started way back in early 1800. That is the time it was discovered to be a fuel. And you know now, huge quantity of electricity we are getting from coal globally. And in India, the coal gave us more than 50% of the electricity. Today morning we were talking that if you convert to EVs, our issues will be resolved. Unfortunately, no. Unless the electric grid is free of carbon, converting to EVs is of no use. It will only multiply the effect. So what is ultimately required is how to make our electrical system, the grid, free of carbon. There is no solution immediately in front of us. In India, we are consuming coal due to two reasons. One, we have plenty availability. That is the only fuel we have in our country. We don't have oil or gas. We have got only coal. So that is the fuel which gives us affordable and reliable energy. And you know that in the beginning of 20th century, the entire power generation in England was from coal only. But now they are out of coal. After more than 130 years of using coal for the development, they have moved out of coal. India started the first coal-powered power plant almost 45 years after the first power plant of England. So we have used less carbon, less coal, less energy compared with other big developed countries, and that is why we have got a lower development issue. Moving back to next one, that is oil. Again, almost 50, 60 years after coal, this great discovery of oil happened. In Pennsylvania, in US, that was a startup at that point of time. Unfortunately, like many startups now, the large quantity of oil came out and they were unable to store it in any place, so they have used all type of containers, and most of them were barrels used for wine and whiskey. That is why even now, crude oil is traded in barrels, not in KL or in gallons. The storage of original storage days it is there. Then came the discovery of internal combustion engine. All of you know that the Model T of Ford, the first affordable car for all of us. There is a story that when one mayor of one city of US was asked to inaugurate the first drive of Model T or an IC engine, halfway through the ride, he stopped it and called for his horse to come. He said, "This is not going to work. My horse is faster than this lousy vehicle." That was the initial discovery. You can very well understand the subsequent discoveries, innovations, and developments were the current situation of mobility because of this fuel. And you know that oil has gone beyond the oil as a commodity. It is more of a geopolitical issue now. It is more of a strategic reason that the countries are fighting, wars are happening, and large number of issues are happening around oil. But the strategic importance of oil started just before the First World War, when the then Admiralty of Royal Navy, Winston Churchill, before he became the Prime Minister of England, he ordered the Royal Navy to convert from coal to oil. The first time that defense is coming into the oil from coal. With very reasons that even today, for flexibility, for speed, for cost, and also reduce the manpower, because coal handling requires more manpower, so he has converted. That is the day this commodity has become such a strategic importance, whether it is defense, whether it is any activity. This fuel has become so ingrained in our globe that it is extremely difficult to replace it now. India has got a special problem. 85% of this commodity we are importing, we don't have any source. Had this oil is not born and not used as a fuel, India would have been a rich country by this time. We spend billions and billions of dollars for importing oil. That is one of the reasons why we had got, you know that the way in which if oil prices going up, the rupee value is depreciating even now. So the question is, we have to move out of these fossil fuels as fast, but how can we do it? Can we do it very fast? From the history shows very difficult. We have already seen 3 conversions. First it was wood to coal we have seen. From coal to oil we have seen. But ultimately what really happened is that all these fuels are here even now. Even now we are using firewood, coal, fuel, and probably you can see that in recent times, last 30 or 40 years, there is a gradual increase in renewable energy, the hope, the solar, the wind, the nuclear, the hydro. But that hope is really there, but it constitutes only a small percentage. So this is the root issue. It is not easy for us to convert, even though we are speaking about sustainability, it is not that easy for us to achieve those sustainability. This is a picture of COP, Conference of Parties, all of you are aware. The global community has seized of this problem in mid-90s. We all realized that there is a problem. We have to address it. The first committee of parties, around 200 countries, they assembled in early 90s in Berlin. And last one, you know that in Baku in Azerbaijan about 2 months back. Lot of activities has been done to address this issue. Many countries signed commitments, but most of the commitments are even now unmet. You know about Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, a large number of agreements. A lot of people have also committed. You know that when Obama was the president of America, he committed full support of America for this global change. But you know what happened when the next president came and what happened when Biden came. This is keep on swinging between a commitment, not a commitment. We don't know what is going to happen now. And even India, you know that even though we are not the root cause of this problem, we emitted less. Even now, our per capita emission is only 1/3 of the global average. But Government of India decided that we will want to be a part of the solution, and we have started using a lot of activities to address this issue. But the unfortunate part is the emission continuing. There is no hope for any immediate reduction. The activities have helped us to gain efficiency, but along with that, there is a huge growth in population, and there is an aspiration for people to have a better life. Better life is always associated with consuming more energy, whether it is for our day-to-day activities or whether it is for other activities like fashion, etc. But we have got an additional problem. Can we commit our entire money for this issue of conversion? Is it the right strategy for a government, for a society? No, we cannot, because we have got a serious issue of development. We have got an aspiration to be a developed country, but we have to reach there means we have to expend huge quantity of energy again and again. So this is the dilemma that we have to do, which means that we have to handle two transitions simultaneously. This is a very special issue for countries like India. When Western world developed, we were developing without any constraints of carbon emission, without any challenge of a global warming or any such climate-related issues. Their focus was on development. But when our turn came for development, we have to factor in another variable, which is a climate change. But what is our priority? Can we give 100% focus on climate change? No. We need development. I am not saying development doesn't mean GDP. Development is an indication of the overall progress of the entire community. One such indication is the Human Development Index. You know that we are claiming to be the third largest economy soon. We are above 130 in our Human Development Index, which means that we have got a long way to get our large number of people to a level of economic development and lifestyle development. We have to be at 0.9 from the current 0.64 to call ourselves a developed country. And there are always 28 to 30 countries are already over 90. So if we want to be a developed country, we have to achieve a higher human development index. And the energy required to achieve that is 3 times bigger than the current one. So you have to spend huge quantity of energy to achieve this development. Is it possible from the solar, wind, and the so-called thing? No, it is not possible. We have to continue to depend on conventional energies to ensure that our aspiration for growth and our requirements are good. So ultimately, what is going to happen, my dear colleagues? This is going to happen. We are already crossed 1.5 degrees. We will close 2 degrees. We will approach 3. 3 and above 3, closer to 4, is, at least as of now, scientifically proven this world is not livable. That serious it is, unless, of course, some huge discovery happens or the DNA of humans is changing or evolving to match with the high temperature, the low temperature, the wind and cyclone. Very likely to happen. So which means we have got a problem in front of us. So this is what really happening now. We are all know that we are on fire, but we are trying to show that there is no problem. This is exactly happening now. Whether it is government or the society. You know that what happened when a new president came to America. Most of the organization, including the multinational institutions, the major banks, they signal that they are focused on climate change, they are diluting. Because we are feeling that everything is fine. But what required is actually, we should learn how to walk through this fire. We have to expect, we have to prepare ourselves for the impact of climate change. That is the point that I want to say. Climate change is bound to happen. How we can prepare our society to have. Today we were talking about 2018 flood. Today we are talking about the massive landslide. How we can manage so that the human impact is very low. That impact is something we have to show because the climate change is a global issue. The mitigation is a global issue. It has no boundary. Climate change has no boundary. So it is a global issue. We alone cannot. But it's adaptation. Adaptation is a local issue. We need to innovate to adapt. We need to, or we have to give the skill to the people to ensure that we are able to live in a world with more climatic consequences. One such example I know that in KMA has got a large number of civil engineers, the builders, etc. We have got a design basis, whether it is for a building, for a bridge, or a road. This design basis must be considering the average temperature, the rainfall. It is high time that we have to relook at it. These things will sustain the climatic conditions from now, say 2050, because these buildings, roads and bridges has to last long. We have to have a relook at all our aspects of life to be ready to face these consequences. May not be tomorrow, but is bound to happen in few years from now. So this is, friends, my concluding last but one slide. This is how the world is looking now. You see the population. It is 2 billion in Americas plus the West plus Russia. another 2 million in Africa plus Australia, another 2 billion in China, and 2 billion in India. You see that the amount of land we have going to have 2 billion people in another 20 years, which means we are going to have a serious concern. We have got 2 billion people and their aspiration to grow at one side, the massive impact of climate change coming on the other side. And now it is a fashion to call the lower portion is called the global south, the undeveloped or the underdeveloped countries where growth is a must, but there is a drag because of global change. So the world community is debating how to resolve this issue. There is one hope emerging is global south has to continue to grow. There is no option. Growth is also essential for an adaptation. We need strong houses for all the people of India to meet the consequences of climate change in a much better way. At the same time, the West, who already leveled up by spending more and more carbon, has to contribute two ways: reducing the emission and also transferring capital and technology to the so-called global south to address this global issue. Very difficult to have such a consensus on the global scale. This is exactly my point. Not going to find an immediate solution of this global crisis, and it is time for us to innovate. We have to innovate now to adapt and learn to live in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad K. Panicker, for highlighting the role of adaptability in driving innovation. I request KMA President, Convention Chair, and Honorable Secretary to join him on stage. Dr. Murli to do the honors.
The winner is Anne Isabel Michael, student.
Gentlemen, for Miss Anne, congratulations. You won yourself a gift hamper from Miranda Jewelers. Mr. Gopalakrishnan spearheaded Bata India's retail operations. He was conferred the Udyog Ratna Award for Retail Professional of the Year and EY Entrepreneur of the Year 2015. India's most trusted CEO.
Good afternoon, everybody. Namaskaram. I know I'm going to be holding you for lunch. I think it's lunch timing is set as 1 o'clock. I'll try and see how fast I can do this. If you don't have too many questions, then I think we can finish it on time. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank Hari, who is my friend from Delhi. It is only because of Hari, I think we could find out some time and come all the way here. I initially thought this is going to be a different kind of a setup. I've attended many of these sessions, but I really pretty happy to see that so much of audience, so much of interactions happening, and KMA is doing a fantastic job in Kerala to develop this moving forward. So thank you to the President, the Senior Vice President, and the rest of the team here to doing a great job to promote the business in Kerala. I would just start with some of the recap, because there are a lot of students I see here yesterday who missed this one. You know, there was a very interesting topic which I also picked up. One was looking at, the lifespan of the organization reducing. I think it's Hari who said this. It is so scary to see that from 26 years, it will move to 14 years is what Hari was saying. Why this is happening is because we are not really innovating and adapting. I think that's something which every one of us needs to start thinking pretty seriously. And also from Rajeev Chandrasekhar yesterday, I think there was a fantastic comment to say that, what matters moving forward is going to be the talent. The best talent is what which will make a company to sustain and grow. I think so all of us as leaders, we have a very important role to play is to start developing the talent in each of our organization. I think that's something which we as leaders needs to start taking a responsibility to develop. I would just try and give you a little bit of background of myself. 30 plus years in the footwear industry. I'm one person who has stuck with one company. I think 1990 joined Bata, now it's almost 35 years. So I don't know whether this is good or bad, but I would say to the people here, especially to the students here, is not bad sometimes, provided you are growing in the organization, provided you are able to contribute in the organization. And after spending almost 16 years in retail in India, I moved to Thailand as a country manager, and from there to Bangladesh, and there back to India as a country manager here, before moving to Singapore, looking after Asia, except India now. That's almost 10 countries over there. So it's been a fantastic journey with Bata. I just wanted to test the knowledge of this audience a bit to understand how many years this organization is set up. Do you know when Bata organization started? How many years back it is? Anybody can answer this? 110, no, closer. I don't think I can give you a gift like what the Miralda Jewelers are doing, but at least we can give you a clap. No? No guesses? Yes? Sorry? Very close, 130 years this organization is. It started in 1894 in Czech Republic. India, we started the operations in 1931. So why I'm asking this question is, a company to survive 130 years, you need continuous innovation. Otherwise, it's very difficult for older companies to come back and survive. So I think that's a very important point which we will take and address during our discussion later on. I have one more question. Do you know how many pairs of shoes we sell a day? In one day, how many pairs of shoes? Any guess? Okay, I'll give you the answer. It's 1 million pairs. And we have around 5,300 stores worldwide, operating in almost 55 countries. Mostly people think about Bata, we always think it's an Indian company, right? I think a lot of people still must be thinking in that way. You go to any country, go to Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, everybody believes it's a local company. No one thinks it's a global. I think that's also a success formula. But now we are coming more into local. What I say is more globalized directions and trends and moving into more localization. That's again innovation and adaptability. So that's something which we will talk about. I would say that, over the last 4 decades, innovation is important, but at the same time, we as leaders, we also need to innovate ourselves. I have reinvented myself at least 4 times in the last 4 decades. It's not easy. You're working with a different culture of people. You're working with different trends, and you're working with different tastes of the consumers. So you have to reinvent yourself quite a lot. Otherwise, your growth is going to be very difficult. So to the youngsters here, it is very important to adapt innovation as well as technology as one of your key priorities. As I think yesterday one of the speakers said that it is very important to look at developing your skill set, understanding what is that which is coming in forward. So definitely innovation, technology space is something very important for the students here. Please spend your time, think about it. How do you develop your career there? How do you develop your skill set there? That will definitely help you. I have to say one thing here. For leaders to grow, innovation is important, adaptability is important. At the same time, a clear direction and mindset is important. So if you need a clear mindset, direction, what has helped me in my career, I think you need a lot of support. So I take this opportunity to support my wife who is here, who has been my constant support and motivation. There's a saying that never let a crisis go waste. So if you look at the COVID time, I will spend a bit on the COVID time because the COVID time, we could really reinvent ourselves. We could innovate ourselves and come back very strongly with one of the best cash flows, one of the best performances coming back after COVID in 22, 23. So this is all because we took the right steps even during a crisis. We did not waste our time. So I want to take you through that, which will help definitely continuing to serve the consumers for developing new products because the trends changed, the fashion changed, the need of the market changed, and also managing your bottom line, which is, again, a very important part of the business. Okay, but before moving there, let me tell you why is innovation important. Innovation is important because this drives growth. If you do not innovate, we see the companies, the lifespan is reducing, as Hari was saying, is because they don't innovate and change. We know the examples of Kodak. We know the examples of Nokia. We know the examples of many companies who really did not innovate and grow on time. So it's very important for the growth. It's very important to stay ahead of the competition. We know. So COVID definitely had a lot of impact. One is you do not know when the store is closing, when it is opening. 2 years, we all had an extremely tough time. Also, challenges with the bottom line, challenges with the cash flow. That was another huge piling up of inventory. In addition, the other trend, what you saw is the changing of the consumer trends. Because as somebody was saying that you're working from home, you only need a jacket. You don't need anything else to do a call. You don't need shoes. You don't need leather shoes. So the trend completely migrated to casual shoes as well as flip-flops or the thongs or the slippers. This is what we saw immediately after the trend. So I will narrate some examples on how we adapted it. How did we do innovation in the retail store in terms of the product? And how did that really help us? So my intention today is to clearly tell you a few of the examples, what we did in Bata, which has really helped us, and now it is really helping us to sustain and grow. This was something very interesting we did during the COVID time. And still we continue in the remote areas. Yeah? So the customers, it was very difficult for anyone to come to our stores. So like what I think Hari and also George from the Bisleri was saying that, we went to the consumers. We took the trucks, nicely done up a store there. We kept all the articles which matters, or all the shoes which matters to the people at that point in time. I went to their houses, the societies. We parked the truck, we had a timetable, okay, if it is every Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, this truck is going to be there in that particular day, which today, if I tell you, Bata globally is a huge business of more than 10 million pairs. So most of our 80% of our shoes, we have moved into antibacterial. It's nothing but, having the coating of antibacterial. And if any time, I think at the end of the presentation, I'll show you one small advertisement which we did in Pakistan. Was fantastic. It was called Bacteria Ka Band Bajao, or Bag Bacteria Bag. So the advertisement is like all the bacterial characters you show in the television, and then you see the Bata school shoes coming with the tongue out and eating all the bacteria, So it gave a lot of thing, and our school shoes business really bumped up after that. And in most of the countries, we are still very strong in terms of our school shoes, which we are proud of, actually. I'll just deviate the topic into something very important for all the business people, and particularly anyone in retail. In retail, what is your number one expense? Is your store. Your number one expense in terms of a retail industry, your 50% of your operating expense is your store expenses. That's your store occupancy, your store maintenance charges, and all those stuff. So what we did during the COVID time, and which we continue now, we really found out ways and means of handling this. So lockdown rebates were there, or variable rental models. That means we converted most of our stores. As you know, Bata, most of our stores worldwide is company owned and company operated. That means we have a lease of 9 years, 10 years, and we continue with them. So it's our own stores, more or less. So the biggest factor of rental, we moved most of the stores into commission models. We came out with various commission and hybrid models, which helped us very good in terms of our generation of the cash flow. I can tell you in the APAC region was almost $7 million the first year. The second year was almost $6 million. That's the kind of savings you have done on the rentals. And also this taught us something very interesting, which is the sales per square meter. Anyone who runs retail, that's the number one thing to look at. How much sales you're generating per square meter. We had stores of 3,000 square foot, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. But at the end of the day, the reality is how much you generate sales per square meter and how much is the rent you're paying. That means the occupancies per square meter. These are two factors. If you are not taking into account, you will not do a profitable business. I can cite a simple example here. You have heard the famous brand of Hush Puppies. Hush Puppies is a brand which Bata India has brought in during my time as a country manager here. And we have developed the brand from 0 to almost 2 million pairs at that time. And Hush Puppies, we used to have only 3-4 stores. Our store size was like 1,500, 2,000 square foot stores. We were not making a single rupee. So we had to do all the experiments, all the studies, understand, work on sales per square meters. And today the Hush Puppy average size store is almost 700 square feet. That's the size you need to make money. And today you have more than 135 stores. So I think retail, work on the sales per square meter and the occupancies per square meter, that's one formula I would strongly suggest if any business retailers are here. The other interesting thing which we came out is the franchise. All of you know the franchise model. As I told you, Bata was more into a COCO model, but we came out with a very innovative franchise model. As you know, our brand strength is there in most of the operating companies where we are, but we came out with a franchise model which is absolutely cash and carry. So this is not a good thing when people hear that, but I can tell you, we gave enough commissions to the franchisees, but at the same time, made sure that our cash is secure. Because what happens in a franchisee business or a dealer business, which used to happen in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India, in many other places, recovering the money was very, I know, whoever is in the distribution business will vouch for that. You know that how difficult it is to recover the money. You have to come up with schemes and promotions and so on, so many other things to get this money back. So here is a business model which is cash and carry, but you give an extra support in terms of training, in terms of many other things. And today in India, there are close to 600 franchisee stores running successfully. And in Pakistan, Bangladesh, we put together almost 300 franchise stores. So that's a nice model for anyone to look at, because you will have to come up with a new innovative model rather than giving a credit business of, let's say, 100 days and 200 days. It doesn't work. The franchisee also, here they will pick and choose what exactly you need to sell and what exactly you need to buy, actually. The other interesting thing which happened during the pandemic was the shift towards casualization. So people, I know the dress also we changed. I'm sure Mr. Koshi will vouch for that. The way we all used to dress has completely changed in the last 5 years or last 3 years. So similar way, the shoes. We used to sell a lot of men's dress shoes, which is the black shoes, formal shoes. It's coming back now a bit, but in the last 2-3 years, this category completely plunged. So we had to really look for options. People started wearing sneakers. All the brands, it was a sneakerization period, actually. So in Bata, what we did is, we really thought what we should do. We have 2 sneaker brands, which is called Power, Nostra 3, rather the outdoor one called Weinbrenner, but all were scattered in the store in different places. So somebody came with the very innovative idea, why don't we start a sneaker studio inside our stores? To me, this was one of the best decisions. We put teams from India, from Bangladesh. There is an innovation cabinet in terms of retail. So they worked together and they came up with the best solution, which I'll show you, is a sneaker studio within the Bata store. And today, by doing this, you can see the running, the lifestyle, the outdoor, as well as the sandals, which is again the fashion volume business. So previously we were selling the normal Hawaii, the blue strap ones or a printed one, which is now moved to very fashion volume. This is very important to understand that you have to also move with your consumer. You need to understand what is your consumer looking for. And with this, we had grown our sneaker business back in terms of contribution by 50%. Now, globally, this is adapted, and this is available in all the operating companies across the globe. I know I am very close to the time. Hari, just 2 more slides, yeah? Here, again, a lot of processes we talked about innovation. I think Hari today morning said about, if you're innovating, innovate with a purpose. Don't do innovation without a purpose. So understanding the consumer, understanding their needs, so we work with companies like First Insight to work with the consumers, to come back, to talk to them, to understand what's their need. And then we have an innovation committee which is global as well as regional and at a country level. So it is like a funnel system which they feed what exactly we need. But we are not looking at high cost innovation. Whatever innovation we do, it has to be for the common people. It has to work and it has to give us returns as well. So innovation funnel, it looks into all the needs. Then there is a project feasibility done, then a project capability as well as the rollout. So there are 4 different modules where we work and really come back with the 1 or 2 or 3 every year to make sure that that sustains. I will show you some examples here. The first one is a brand called Comfort, what we have. You know, it's the most comfortable shoe for a lady who can, or for a man even now we have, so who can be on the shoes for 24 hours. So if you go to the work and then for a party, I think the shoes will stand you comfortable for the whole day. What have we done? We have done the outsole compound innovation, as well as the insole, the insole compounds, which is really done for Bata as a separate one with the testing and trying, and you know, it's a fantastic range of products today you have. And I can tell you in the APAC region, the total Bata turnover, 25% comes from only Comfort brand. That's huge. We sell almost $60 million of Comfort in the APAC region. That's one. Number two, on the running shoes, as well as for the children's shoes, you know, looking at shock absorption, looking at the compound and working on different technologies, your shoes stand apart from your competition. And definitely, you need margins better than the normal margins, right? So innovation and technology will help you to get that. I will leave you with a quote. This is Warren Bennis. Innovation, any new idea will not be accepted at first. This is true. It takes attempts, endless demonstrations, before innovation can be accepted by an organization. This requires courageous patience. You know, this is absolutely true. Because if this is a message to the youngsters over there, innovation is always has to be with a purpose. You have to have a lot of courageous patience here. You need to understand the need for innovation. If you do that, you will grow, your companies will grow. Thank you very much, but before I close, let me try and see whether I can show the other presentation, if it is, Rajeev, you are here to help me out? Yeah, right here. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, do let me know.
I now request the CEO of Aptiv, Mr. Ramesh, to present our distinguished speaker, Rajeev Gopalakrishnan, a memento as a token of our heartfelt gratitude. Please join me in applauding him once again.
George Tropicana.
Is Ria here?
Raju George, sorry.
Yes, we heard it right. Mr. Raju George, congratulations. You've won 50,000 rupees.
Thank you for the honor of speaking to you. Today I'm going to talk about innovation in ITC, and it is an honor talking about the subject itself. We pride ourselves in ITC about the innovation that we have brought to the Indian market. In fact, it is one of the core values which is there in our, it's one of the core values which are there. So it works along with, while innovation is one of the values which is there, it works along with trusteeship and customer focus. And I hope to showcase that through my presentation to you today. So, we like to believe that we are a startup ourselves in the FMCG business. This has been the journey that we have undertaken in the last 24 odd years. These are all the category launches, but each launch has been filled with a lot of work, understanding of consumers, understanding of the unmet needs of the consumers and building towards that. It's been a hectic journey. It's inspired a whole generation of managers. It still continues to inspire us in ITC. And the work continues with the same intensity as it did on day one. So we like to say that every day in ITC is day one. And that is the innovation focus that we're talking about. Now when you talk about innovation, if you were to ask the consumers what do you need, you probably won't get an answer. And every phone has put that down very well. It's all about the unsaid and the unmet needs. And that's what ITC believes is something that we rarely have to uncover before we bring our products, our value chains to the market. So it's all at the heart of whatever we do, and it's all about uncovering the unsaid and the unmet needs. It requires a whole lot of work. This work is delivered in terms of understanding the consumer needs, whether it is on health, indulgence, understanding the need for value or the need for premium, understanding the older ages, the new gen. It is delivered not only through the product, it has to be delivered through the entire value chain. The value chain, which starts with understanding the consumer needs, understanding and building that product platform, building the supply chain, media around it. So I will showcase some of the brand stories which are there for you, so that you can understand how we deploy what we learn from the consumers in terms of unsaid and unmet needs and how we take it forward into the product development and the value chain design around the product and delivering it to the market. This has been our approach to the market, which has helped us build 4 power brands and several brands which are truly leaders in all of the spheres that they are in. And I'll talk about a few of those. I'll talk about some of these. I'll talk about some product categories that we have innovated on, and that's in the next few slides. So some brand stories I will share with you in the next few slides. The first one, it is the obvious one, it is our Bata, our largest brand. It is India's #1 branded atta for a very, very long time, for 15 years now. It has been in leadership and continues to build innovation even today, despite the leadership that it has attained. It is one of the most trusted brands and it is widely available with the consumers in the households. Now, when we look at how we did it, so the first thing is that what were the issues that the consumer, what were the stresses or the tensions that consumers are facing so far as the category of atta is concerned? First, when we got into the business, the consumers used to speak about the inconsistent quality of wheat available to them. Second, they were not sure about the quality of the packaged atta which was available to them, whether it was from local mills or whether it was from the local branded players. And lastly, the need for freshness. That was of a significant order, and that is something that we tried to solve. The point is that innovation was not in terms of the product quality alone, not in terms of the blend alone, but what we put together around that in delivering to the market, the value chain that we did. So first, we leveraged our agri-business to source at scale. Second, our life sciences and technology center went in depth into the grains across the country, understood what was the requirement of a consumer, let's say in a Delhi versus a Bangalore versus a Cochin. And then we designed the attas which are there, studied the varietals, worked with the farmers and brought that to life. The bringing to life, we used our own packaging division and also our TMD, our trade marketing and distribution division, to take it to the market. We've used the ITC, each of our network extensively, and that is something that has been of real strength to us as the atta business is concerned. Now this is something that we did in atta, but you will see these common trends running across different brands that we have put out into the market. The story and the yardsticks and the design remains the same. You innovate on the product, you figure out what gives you competitive advantage, you build it into your value chain and then you extract value from that. Also, when we took it to the market, we had a unique way of speaking to the homemaker, which was our primary target consumer, and that is something that we have evolved over the years. The first ad I'd like to play for you. Every part of this communication, every part of the design of the product tapped into the need for the homemaker in terms of, I want a great quality. That's something that I would like to evaluate myself. And we've been consistently speaking to the homemaker over the years, and that has been the story that has been told. Now, when we go to the market, one key insight is that all the parts of the country are very, very different. I'm only highlighting two regions here, north and south, but north versus south versus east versus, and it can be a very, very micro geography level differences which can be there. So how do you make it work for that specific geography? So let's talk north first. In terms of north, wheat is the primary staple. It is a tradition which has been passed down, and the homemakers knows what is to be expected from the atta. Here we tapped into those traditional codes, and we went and spoke in the language, but reassured that we hold true all the codes that they want delivered through a packaged data. We hold that true and we will deliver on that. And that was the first step advantage that our communication also spoke about. In South, however, the task was very different. It was about category creation. Rice is the primary staple. It was competing against atta. Atta had to show its versatility. Atta had to be finer in South because it had to deliver on heightened sensorials versus something what we call as khurdra atta or a little more granular atta that is selling in the north. Very, very different paradigms in terms of product design as well as the communication. I'll take you through the communication for north. What that we're talking about? We are talking about that we've selected the right quality of atta, we've cleaned it, and we are sticking to your codes in terms of how you want it, and therefore really pushing the button so far as the traditional codes of the category concerned. Whereas South was a very different model. And that's what we kept up. We continuously contemporize our communication, what we tell the homemaker, it is ingrained in the codes of that geography. I'll be talking about culture-centered marketing that we undertake. Each region has its own product, has its own codes of expression to the end consumer, which is the homemaker here. I'll not take you through all these slides which are there, or the films which are there. But essentially, traditional codes in the north, building atta as the go-to grain so far as the south is concerned. Maybe I'll play one, which is Tarun's different, which is to showcase the versatility of atta as a staple in the south that we undertook. I'll skip to that. Is movement in the journey of Ashirwad in the south, which is that this grain is adaptable to so many things, and Ashirwad is the medium of the grain. Skipping this. Now, in terms of the various spaces which are opening up in the country, Ashirwad has gone and understood all those spaces, whether it is at the premium, which is through the select atta, where the provenance and also the sourcing story came about. It is Shabadi atta sourced from Shabadi wheat sourced from Sihor, Madhya Pradesh, to give you the finest rotis that we can bring. So that was select atta. Gut health is becoming an important part of the conversation that consumers are having, and health is increasing in terms of the volume of conversations which are happening. So that space was also occupied by Ashirwad atta with mixed grains in atta. For diabetic or pre-diabetic people who need low GI atta, the sugar release control atta was launched. And now we are pushing the boundaries so far as freshness is concerned through Namma Chakki, which we have piloted in Bangalore, where you get freshly ground atta the next day with your choice of grains, including vegetable flours, which are delivered to your home. And this is freshness as in one day. Now I'll talk about Ashirwad Atta, multigrain. The conversation on gut has been increasing as we have been going along. So it used to be about indigestion, it used to be about constipation, it used to be about fibers. Now what we've seen is that the conversation has evolved considerably, and this is through consumer listening that we do. The conversation has gone into prebiotic, probiotic, into immunity, weight management. The Atta delivers amongst on wellness in terms of digestion for all these parameters, obviously from prebiotic, probiotic, all of that ingredients and all that, but it delivers on the core of digestion, fibers, and it addresses the concerns. However, the brand needs to engage a little bit more with the consumers. For that, we launched something which we call the Happy Tummy, which is an interaction that we have with the consumers. The consumers can come and interact with wellness experts and get their issues addressed. There is counseling that is provided. There is an engagement which is there, and it's on the platform of Ashirwad Atta Multigrain. So this is something that, while it does not take the product, you don't need to create another product, but you have to get the consumer to live the values of the product through this engagement exercise which we did on Happy Tummy. It has moved further in the journey. Ashirwad is a space, and I'll show you the next slide in terms of the spaces that Ashirwad Atta has taken. It is now into organic, and we believe that there is a lot of noise around organic which is there, whether it's truly organic, and Ashirwad Atta pushes the boundaries so far as that is concerned also. It's about assurance, and that we deliver through what we call as Sachmuch organic, which means that you can trace the field from where we have sourced those grains. That is the height of assurance which is there. In terms of the certification, we can tell you of the number of tests our Ashirwad Swasti Ghee organic has gone through. So that is the provenance that we're building into all of these things, which is so far as the story and the base promise of the product is concerned. I've spoken about the Namma Chakki. So Ashirwad Atta, starting from pure atta, using the consumer understanding, using the culture-centric marketing, different parts of the country behave differently. We've created a whole host of adjacencies around Ashirwad Atta, and that is something which is the brand before you today. And so we are in dairy in the east, in fresh dairy, where we sell fresh milk under Ashirwad Swasti. We have paneer. So the point that I'm trying to make is, it's the same template, it's the same approach, it's the same philosophy. It starts with the consumer, it puts put into the value chain, which is there in terms of how it delivers, and there is a successful business across so many agencies which has been built up. I'll talk about two of them, which are the most recent ones that we put. Very, very basic products if you want to look at it. However, what we've done here also is that we have innovated on the product formats to deliver something which a consumer truly values. So, for example, if there are people who consume soya bean, what we call as soya chunks. Soya chunks are supposed to absorb masalas, they're supposed to absorb the flavor of the tadka that is there. We've created, through our technology, a soya chunk which really is great in absorbing that. It will beat competition on all of those fronts as absorption of masalas is concerned. That is a proprietary technology, and that is something that we understood the consumer truly well. Because if you look at soya chunks per se, they don't have a taste of their own. There is a taste, but it's actually the masala around them that people really value, and that is what they bring to this ingredient, and that is something that we love. So far as basin is concerned, again, a very, very staple product. But what we have done is, here also the product is innovated in terms of the batter. It is lump-free. When you make a pakoda, there are people who experiment. If you use this, it will give lump-free experience so far as this is. Now these are very, very basic insights which are there, but very valuable when the consumer is using these brands in the kitchen and experiencing them on their dinner table. So this is something that we truly value, and it comes from the consumer insight. Next, I'll talk about Dark Fantasy. Dark Fantasy is our, if It's a brand that is built around indulgence. It's built around the taste of chocolate plus cookie, which is there. In the Indian market, there were very few options at that point in time when dark fantasy came in. You either had sandwich cream biscuits, or you had the regular biscuits only with packaging and different so far as the flavors were concerned. And we staged dark fantasy at that time in a very different avatar. So we were the first to do box packaging, for example. Second, we were the first to do in a premium box the packaging as well as individually wrapped cookies, which maintain the freshness of the cookie for a longer period of time. So if you are seeking indulgence, when you open your cookie, you expect it to be as crisp as it rolled off from the factory machine. You expect that performance from your product if you are paying that kind of money for it. And that is something that dark fantasy is delivering. Now when you talk about indulgence, when you start dialing it up, dark fantasy has shown the legs to traverse into even desserts, and there are options on desserts. In fact, it is also one of the most successful gifting ranges which is there, which means that, so normally cookies and all are something that people normally don't give. They are very cheap price points of cookie offers which are there, gift packs which are there. Dark fantasy has pushed that and developed as well. We really made the brand alive for the consumers through personalization at scale. Two things that I'd like to talk about. One is in terms of our digital advertising. So we do target the consumers who are looking for indulgence or even chocolates, and that is something that we do. That is the kind of personalization that we're doing. We ran a very successful campaign with Shah Rukh Khan, which was at scale, run through AI, where each consumer would see themselves in the advertisement along with Shah Rukh Khan. So that was done so far as building the fantasy that consumers used to talk about. The point is that indulgence brings in the codes of, there is a requirement that you need to satisfy the self, which is there, which is something that we have really dialed down so far as, dialed upon, so far as building the brand of dark fantasy is concerned. I will not spend time here and move on. Now, this is a very different kind of a story, which is not a brand story, it's a platform story. Millets is something that has been, for different reasons, in terms of their climate hardy, they're the sustainable grain and so on and so forth. But the interest in millets has been going up not just because of that, not just because the government is talking about it, because there is enough and more conversation that consumers in the markets are having with regards to millets. And that is something that we've understood very well. In fact, we partnered with the various authorities in terms of building it. So, however, issues with millets is that one, you don't know which millet to use. There are certain parts of the country which are using millets regularly, but a large part of the country does not know really how to use millets of different varieties. So, there is lack of familiarity. There is, how do I make it? What are the recipes? And there is skepticism so far as, does it work for me? Is it good to have? And so on and so forth. So, this is how we have. And I'm going to talk through the next few slides. So please watch out for the value chain interventions which are there, which will help bring alive the full funnel in terms of building an innovation and taking it to market. So the first thing is that we marketed millets. We told consumers how good it was for them. Second, we worked on the recipes and familiarized consumers, and this was done at scale, familiarizing consumers with millet recipes, and how they can use it in different parts of the country with different, there were associations that we have with leading chefs across the country. And from a value chain perspective, we leveraged the agribusiness division to bring it to market. So what have we done? And this is nothing to do with brand marketing, it's nothing to do with, there is a final bit which is in terms of market linkages, but the first thing is that we promoted millet farming. We went to the farmers. There were what we call as Pradarsan Khet or demonstration fields which are there. We got them to put out millets in terms of how to do. We worked with the agri institutes in bringing the high level yielding varieties. That was something that was taken to the market through the agribusiness in terms of high yield varieties of the millets. We worked so far as the collectivization of small farmers is concerned through FPOs and got a large number of them. There was work done through our ITC Mars online platform to create the discovery of pricing so that the entire value chain is there, from sowing to the best practices, to the harvesting, to price discovery, to best practices online available at the tap of a button. And what we have done is finally the market linkages, which is making the price discovery easier for the farmer. So this is the value chain around it, which has nothing to do yet with the final product. In terms of the final product, we live the story. So we have created our ITC hotels. This is the spread that you see in ITC hotels. That spread on the right hand side, your right hand side, is the one which ITC hotels did. In ITC hotels was the FMD partner for the G20, and that was the menu showcased there. And we've also put it out into our products. These are the products which are live in the market with millets, and this is that we are building, and these are large brands in parts of the country. Not spend time here. Now this is a brand story, a marketing-led story, marketing-led intervention. This is also an innovation. So Korean is picking up in terms of conversations, in terms of people, and there are also Korean restaurants which have opened up across the country. We have tapped into that for the first time. Any snack brand tapped into Korea. Also, we went to Korea, picked up one of their celebrities and brought them here to push Korean for the Indian consumers, which was the campaign on the right. And we've done it in noodles as well as this. So the point is that whether it is creation of a large platform like Ashwagandha, whether it is the creation of a category which is through millets, whether it is the simple task of communicating to the consumers on a trend which is happening right now, innovation is captured in all parts of this, and there is the consumer at the center of it. This is something that we've done recently, which is the ITC Master Chef frozen, as well as the fresh food. Started with frozen. We've taken that into fresh food through our cloud kitchens, and there are four brands which have come up, which are there available on the cloud kitchen right now in Bangalore, Hyderabad. It's going to Bombay, Delhi, and it's coming there in Chennai. So it's something that will come near you shortly, but it is all based on the recipes given by the ITC. This is something interesting which we have developed, which is Right Shift. It's again a platform story. India right now doesn't seem to really talk about the demographic dividend and youngsters and the population are increasing. However, that story is not going to continue. We are going to have older agers who are going to overtake the below 5 population, and that is something that is going to be a big thing. So there is nobody who talks to these consumers right now. This is the innovation which is in play right now, which will build up to a large brand in the future. So there is nobody who is talking to these consumers. It used to be about negativism on aging, but what we have translated that in our understanding, and this is something that we learned from the consumers, that there is a positivity in aging which we can tap. There is a positivity in behavior that we can tap. And there is a positive aging which is happening, and a lot of interesting insights about health and wellness that these consumers are concerned about. They are changing their diets and changing their behavior in terms of exercise and in terms of physical activity. So we've tapped into that to create the first platform for golden agers, for people who are aging and want to do it well. So that is something that is there. Now you see, it might seem small right now, but as the right opportunity arises, this is the platform for the future that we're building. It goes across grains, it goes across breakfast solutions, it goes across biscuits, and so on and so forth. It's right now under launch. So far as Bangalore is concerned, it is going to go pan-India shortly. This talks about the fact that what we use is a culture-centric marketing, which I've anyways demonstrated through the examples which is there. Understanding the consumer in each geography, building around that consumer the insights derived, and building the entire package so far as the 360-degree marketing or the distribution solution in general. These are 2 examples that we executed. On the top is what we did, the duck curry from a Sunrise portfolio in Assam. Very specific marketing activities, very hyper-localized interventions which are done. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, this is an interesting story where we we understood the value of Nat Pal, which is desi and desi milk. derived from desi cows, and that's big in Tamil Nadu as a trend that is emerging. And we have, our biscuits are made from that milk. Therefore, that is the story that we told to that consumer in that part of the country, which is Tamil Nadu. Now, we don't always succeed. This was on coffee. We learned of a trend which was Dalgona and bean coffee in the north. We tried to double down on that and build an offer around the paste with that. Then we went into, there was feedback, we changed that into a powder form, and now we've done a mix around that, different flavors coming in. The point is that consumer will always keep on speaking. You will have to listen to the consumer, create your product. Some of them might succeed. The journey does not stop with the launch of the first product. You have to continuously be at it. You have to continuously keep on learning and building from each and every intervention and learning that you have. Now, the back end, the value chain has to deliver. So this is our insighting piece which is there, listening to the consumer. So we have a suite of products. So there is a huge amount of market research that we do. It is done at the platform level. The same team does it for all the brands. There is customer care. We listen to consumers. They talk to us. There is e-commerce. We pick up our comments. We pick up our ratings. We understand what is the issue. So far as that is concerned. Then a whole lot of other media impressions that we take. We synthesize that into a common data hub where we do the insights around that, and finally is the sixth sense which creates insights around that and gives it to the brand teams, to the sales teams in terms of these are the trends and this is how we need to take it forward. So it's really a flywheel which is there that serves us. This is the flywheel so far as distribution is concerned in terms of smart manufacturing across the country. Distributed manufacturing, Bata for example, is closer to the market and it's really next to you in terms of that. It serves the interest of the fresh Bata as well and so on and so forth. And lastly, it's the end value chain which is there, which has to be an efficient value chain. So there is a whole lot of technology and artificial intelligence which is getting built into that in terms of understanding the demand sensing. It is work in progress right now, but this is the end destination which is in terms of the demand sensing to demand fulfillment cycle which is there. This is one large slide which is there, but it talks about bringing everything together that I've spoken about. So it's about when you have brought the innovation, when you have designed the value chain, it's about making it work for the company in terms of delivering value at scale. And really about optimization on product, manufacturing, in terms of brand investments, in terms of media, the supply chain optimization, sweating our assets and so on. So this is some closure to the entire thing in terms of once you design it, it really has to give you the margins for you to continually deploy innovation into the market. Because if you don't make money, you don't innovate further. So therefore that entire loop has to be closed and this does it for us. And it is done, all that we have spoken about is done at scale. For example, the sourcing competency is equally deployed behind Ashirwad Bata, equally deployed behind Sanfi's biscuits. The same wheat, the same materials which are used are bought for them together. So it's the platform synergies in terms of understanding the varietals, what should be the recipe and all. That is a common platform strength that we have. Those are the institutional strengths that we have. Similarly, on chocolates, we have now garnered a huge amount of understanding of the chocolate category which gets deployed behind 3 brands that you see. Then on flexible manufacturing technologies where, because we sit in the same place, because there is so much of knowledge which is resident within the smart manufacturing system that we set up, there are fungible assets across different categories that we are able to deploy and use. There is, these are what we count as our institutional strengths: multi-channel distribution network, agri-sourcing and expertise, which I have showcased in case of Bata and in case of the other products which I spoke about. Packaging know-how, which is internal to ITC, we have one of the largest packaging businesses with us. ITC Hotels has been a partner which has been helping us in terms of cuisine expertise and also in terms of consumer engagement. We have one of the largest research centers, Life Sciences Technology Center, which brings these innovations alive in terms of how they work and how they can be, from a technology perspective, they can be taken forward.
And that is what has made
our scale. So we are the largest foods company in the country. It's the fastest growing foods company as well. It's adding households. It is also in terms of retail outlets, it has one of the largest presence across the country. This is the scale which is there. However, scale is an outcome. It doesn't stop here. The objective is not the scale, the objective is not the turnover, the objective is not the objective is to understand the consumer, deliver value at scale, and make sure that your innovation cycle continues. So what I started the entire presentation with, that it's inbuilt into ITC, though every day, as I said, is day one. There is the fact that innovation is a key driver is built into our core values as well. If you go to ITC portal and you say, what are the core values of ITC? Customer focus, innovation, and also trusteeship are one of the three of the six which come up that is there. And that value is lived across the business so far as the FBD foods business is concerned and every other business of ITC. And that is the cycle which gets repeated across all the FMCG businesses. Thank you. That's all I had. If there are any questions, I would love to take them.
It is the gift hamper. And the lucky winner is?
I have a lovely name, Kirtana A from SCMS School of Management.
Kirtana, are you here from SCMS? We cannot see a Kirtana walking in, so I think, do we have Kirtana here? SCMS? Okay. Okay, well, she turns out to be unlucky. We'll find who is the lucky person again.
Second lucky winner is P. Rajendran from Aryavedhyashala, Kottakkal again.
Is P. Rajendran? Yes, we have Mr. P. Rajendran.
I can assure you that there's no match fixing here.
Big round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you, gentlemen.